How did one girls' trip end with me getting served papers in a hotel lobby while my mum watched? Why did my fiancé stay calm, cancel the wedding, and tell my parents before I could explain my side? What do you do when the legal schedule starts today and everyone sees you as the problem? My name is Ligeia Hart, but everyone calls me Gia. I was 31 and I had a good job at a dental clinic. I handled schedules, insurance calls, and the front desk. I liked when people said I was organized. I liked when people needed me. I was engaged to Evan Mercer. He was 33 and he worked in IT compliance. He always talked about rules, dates, and small details. Sometimes he acted like life was a checklist. I used to call it stable. Later, I called it controlling, because that word worked better. A few weeks before my Bachelorette trip, I stood in our kitchen and watched him make coffee. He used one mug, I used another. We used to share, but we stopped. I did not say that part out loud to anyone. I only told people he was distant. Evan asked if we could go over the budget again. I said the budget was fine. He asked why the florist payment was higher. I said weddings cost money. He asked if my friends had booked flights. I said they were adults and they could handle it. Then he asked if Brady Klein was going to be around on the trip. My face stayed calm. I already practiced that face. Evan asked why Brady's name came up when Nina talked about the rooftop bar. I said Brady worked events everywhere. Evan asked if I knew him well. I said I only knew him from the last birthday party. That was true, but not the whole truth. I told myself I deserved a fun weekend. I told myself I had earned it. I told myself Evan had been acting cold for months. I told myself I was not a bad person for wanting attention. I still think I was right, at least in that moment. Evan looked at me for a long time. He did not yell. He did not swear. He just asked if I could promise him one thing, that I would not embarrass us. I said I would not embarrass us. I made my voice soft and clean. I even touched his arm like I was the caring one. Inside, I felt annoyed. I hated being asked for promises like I was a child. Later that day, I went to the bridal boutique. The place smelled like perfume and steamed fabric. The stylist pinned lace on my waist and asked how I felt. I said I felt excited. I said Evan was just stressed from work. I said he worried too much. The stylist nodded like she understood, and that made me feel powerful. My phone buzzed in my purse. I checked it when the stylist turned away. It was Brady. He wrote that Nashville was going to be crazy that weekend. He wrote that I was going to look unreal. He added a little flame emoji. I stared at it longer than I should have. I should have ignored it. But I liked it. I liked feeling chosen. Evan loved me, sure, but he loved me like a duty. Brady liked me like a prize. I did not answer right away. I told myself that showed control. When I got home, Evan was in the hallway by the little office nook. His laptop was open. A calendar window was on the screen. I saw a block that said, Meeting, Personal. It had a time, 10:30 a.m., and a place name that meant nothing to me. It could have been a coffee shop or an office. Evan closed the laptop when he saw me. I asked what that meeting was. He said it was just something he needed to do. I asked if it was about the wedding. He said it was about planning. I asked planning for what? He said it was personal. I laughed like he was being dramatic. I said he was turning into an old man. He did not smile back. That night, I watched him put a folder into a drawer in the kitchen cabinet. The folder had a label that said, Utilities. I saw another that said, Bank. It looked normal, like boring adult life. Still, something about it made me uneasy. Evan was not messy with paper. He was too careful. The next day at the clinic, I acted busy and important. I told my co-workers I had a Bachelorette trip coming up. I made it sound like a reward. A hygienist asked if Evan was coming to the city too. I said no, he trusted me. I said it like a joke, like he had no choice but to trust me. At lunch, I went to my car and sat with the windows cracked. That was where I could breathe. That was where I could be honest with myself for 5 minutes. I opened Brady's message again. I typed a reply and erased it twice. In the end, I wrote that we were just going out with the girls. I wrote that I was not promising anything. I wrote a laughing emoji to make it sound casual. Brady replied fast. He wrote that I should stop acting like a saint. He wrote that it was my last weekend as a free woman. He wrote that Evan would never know if I was smart. That line made my heart beat harder. It also made me angry. I did not like being told what to do. I told myself I was not doing anything wrong yet. I told myself messages were not actions. When I got home that evening, Evan was already there. Mila, our daughter, sat on the rug with her blocks. Evan asked if I could read to her after dinner. I said yes, like I was the perfect mom. I kissed Mila's forehead. She smelled like baby shampoo and crackers. Evan asked how my day was. I said it was long. He asked if I could stop checking my phone. I said it was work. He asked why work texted after hours. I said patients were needy. Evan did not argue. He just nodded and kept washing dishes. Later, while Mila slept, I went downstairs for water. The house was quiet. I heard a soft machine sound, like a printer feeding paper. I walked toward the office nook. The printer pushed out a page, but it was blank. Evan stood there with his hand on the tray. I asked what he was printing. He said it was nothing important. I asked why it was blank. He said the ink was low. I asked why he was doing it at midnight. He said he could not sleep. His voice was calm. Too calm. I wanted him to be angry, so I could call him crazy. But he stayed steady, and that made me feel like I was the unstable one. Before we dive deeper into this story, I have one small request. Please subscribe, drop a like, comment, and hit that hype button to boost this channel so more people can discover these incredible stories. The next morning, I saw a new key on his keyring. It was a small silver key, not the house key. I asked what it was for. He said it was just something he needed. I asked if he was hiding things. He asked if I was. I felt heat rise in my cheeks. I turned it around fast. I said he was projecting. I said he was being paranoid. I said he needed to focus on the wedding, not on my phone. Evan looked at me like he was taking a picture in his mind. He said he was focused. He said he wanted things to be clear. I walked away and told myself he was trying to scare me. I told myself he would never actually do anything. He was too proper, too lawful, too afraid of looking bad. Then my phone buzzed again. It was Nina, my maid of honor. The preview said she booked the party bus and tagged Brady's DJ page by accident. My stomach tightened, and I realized the weekend was already moving without my permission. The day after the wedding rehearsal, I felt a nervous energy buzzing under my skin. I couldn't shake the feeling that Evan was watching me. He wasn't acting suspicious exactly, but his quietness felt like a warning I couldn't ignore. He spent most of the morning checking his work emails while I finished packing, organizing my bags like everything was fine. But nothing felt fine anymore. Not since that conversation we had about Brady. Not since the way he asked, "Are you sure you're being honest with me?" I didn't want to think about that. I went to the bathroom and checked my phone. Brady had sent another message, this time with an image of the hotel bar and a promise that the weekend was going to be unforgettable. I typed back quickly, "I'm ready for the fun to start." I was excited to be away, to leave Evan behind, to feel like myself again. I loved him, but he never really understood how much I craved freedom, the ability to be seen and noticed. He always seemed too focused on responsibility, schedules, and expectations. And in the back of my mind, I was tired of waiting for him to change. That night, the group of us met up for dinner before we flew out. I had kept it all light, casual, as if this weekend was just a normal girls' trip. But I could see it in the eyes of some of the others. They all expected me to have a good time. They didn't know about Evan's controlling ways. They didn't know the real reason I felt so trapped, like a bird in a cage. They only knew what I showed them, the glossy, smiling version of me that kept everyone at arm's length. At the restaurant, my friends kept asking me if I was sure about Evan. The questions weren't out of the blue. People asked about him, and I played along with the narrative I'd created. He was great in some ways, but he didn't get me. He didn't let me live. I shrugged off their concerns and made a joke. He's just being a little protective, but you know what they say about those clingy types. They laughed, and I laughed too. It felt good, like I was in control. The truth, though, was that I wasn't sure anymore. I felt like I was constantly second-guessing myself. But in that moment, I convinced myself again. This trip was my escape. I deserved this. As we walked out of the restaurant and headed to the car, I could feel the weight of Evan's absence. He wasn't calling or texting, and honestly, I felt a strange mix of relief and guilt. I told myself I was overthinking it. I told myself it wasn't a big deal. After all, it was just a trip, right? We arrived at the airport late, and by the time we were checking in, the excitement had fully taken over. There was a thrill in the air, something wild and unpredictable. I liked it. I liked the attention, the idea of being free from Evan's eyes. I couldn't help myself. I checked my phone again, hoping for some sign that Evan missed me. There was nothing, just a simple, "have a good trip" text from him. His tone was neutral, calm. It made me feel worse than if he had yelled at me. Brady texted again as we passed through security. This time, he asked me what time we would be getting to the bar. I typed, "soon," and added a wink emoji. As much as I tried to pretend it didn't matter, his messages made me feel wanted, like I was something more than just the future Mrs. Evan Mercer. In that moment, I was Gia Hart, free and alive, and I wasn't going to let anyone, not even Evan, hold me back. When we landed in Nashville, the city looked like it was alive with possibility. The lights, the music, the crowds, it was all electric. We headed straight to the hotel, where the others immediately started getting ready for the night out. I had to admit, I was nervous. Part of me wanted to hold back, to stay in my room and just take a breather. But when I stepped out of the elevator and saw the group already gathered in the hotel bar, I felt a spark of excitement. This was what I needed. Brady was there, of course. He was the first person I saw when I walked in. He gave me that look, the one that always made me feel a little bit giddy, like I was his secret treasure. He said, "You look incredible." And I smiled, feeling a little too flattered. There was something magnetic about him, something dangerous. He wasn't my type, but at that moment he seemed perfect. He wasn't asking for permission. He wasn't trying to help me feel better about myself. He just saw me, really saw me. We talked for a while, about everything and nothing. The conversation was light, full of laughter. But then Brady asked, "So, what's really going on with you and Evan? I don't mean to pry, but you don't seem like you're all in." The question was too sharp, too direct, but there was no judgment in it. He was just curious. I shrugged, laughing it off. "Evan's a good guy, but we're not perfect. I need space, that's all." I didn't mention how controlling he could be, or how his jealousy felt suffocating. I didn't tell Brady how much I hated feeling like I was constantly under a microscope. I just told him that I needed a break, that I wanted to have fun. That was enough for him. He smiled and leaned in a little closer. Too close for comfort, but I didn't pull away. As the night went on, the alcohol flowed freely, and I felt myself loosening up. It was like a switch had flipped. I stopped thinking about Evan. I stopped thinking about consequences. I just felt alive, untethered, like the world was mine to take. By the time the party bus came, I had no real plan. I didn't care. I just wanted to keep moving, keep dancing, keep being seen. Brady joined me on the bus, and we sat close to each other, talking over the music. He made a comment about how much more fun I was without Evan around, and I could feel the weight of that statement, but I didn't know what to say. I didn't want to think about it. As we bounced down the city streets, I leaned back, letting the music drown everything else out. For once, I felt like I could breathe. I could be me. I told myself I was just having fun. I told myself it was nothing serious. But deep down, I knew this wasn't just fun. It was something more. It was a way to prove that I wasn't just someone's fiancé. I was my own person, and for the first time in a long while, I felt powerful. Brady's hand brushed against mine. It wasn't a mistake. I felt the heat of his touch, the way his fingers lingered just a second too long. I didn't pull away. I didn't know then, but the night was going to change everything. The next morning in Nashville, my head felt heavy, but my phone felt light in my hand. I checked it before I even sat up. There were new likes, new comments, and new messages. Nina had posted a short clip from the party bus. In it, I was laughing too loud and leaning too close to Brady. The video was not clear, but people love a story they can finish in their own minds. Tessa sent me a screenshot of a comment where someone asked if I was already married. Tessa said it was funny and told me to reply with a wink. I told her to chill and not make it a thing. Then I looked again and again, because I liked the attention. Nina knocked on my door and said the girls were going to brunch. I said I would be there soon. My dress from last night was on a chair. My shoes were in the corner, like they had been thrown. I told myself that was normal. I told myself it meant I had fun. I told myself it did not mean anything deeper. When I got to the hotel breakfast area, Nina acted proud of me. She said I looked like a real bride now, like someone who knew how to live. I said she was being dramatic. Carmen sat with her coffee and looked tired. She asked if I remembered everything. I said yes, and then I changed the subject fast. Brady walked by the tables because he was working another event in the hotel. He slowed down near me like it was an accident. He asked if I was okay. I said I was fine. He said I looked good in the daylight, too. I said he was a flirt. Nina laughed and told him to sit for a minute. Carmen looked away like she did not want to be part of it. Brady asked if Evan had texted me. I said Evan was busy and boring. I said Evan always made everything serious. I said that like it was a problem Evan caused, not a problem I made. My phone buzzed in my hand, and I almost dropped it. It was Evan. He asked how Mila slept, and if her cough was better. I said she was fine, and told him thank you for taking care of her. He asked what time I would call to say goodnight. I said later after dinner. He asked if anything happened last night that he should know. I said no, we just danced and laughed. I used the word just, like it could erase the rest. He did not argue in the text. He only wrote that he needed honesty. He wrote that he did not want surprises. His words were calm, and that made me feel angry. I wanted him to act jealous so I could feel desired. I wanted him to be messy so I could call him wrong. I showed Nina the text and said Evan was doing the controlling thing again. Nina rolled her eyes and told me to ignore him. Carmen asked why Evan would ask that. I said he always assumed the worst. I said it like I was the victim. After brunch, the girls went shopping for boots and little souvenirs. I walked with them, smiling for photos. I felt like I was acting in my own life. The city was loud and bright. People stared at our sashes and our glittery bags. I loved it when strangers smiled at me, like I was special. Still, every time I looked at my phone, I felt a small squeeze in my chest. Evan's last text sat there like a weight. I told myself he was being dramatic. I told myself I could handle him when I got home. I told myself the wedding was too close for him to do anything real. I kept telling myself that, like a prayer. That evening, we got ready in the hotel rooms. Nina told everyone to wear black, and she told me to wear white. She said it was the rule. She did my makeup and said I needed to look like a movie star. I looked in the mirror and liked what I saw. I looked like someone who could do anything and still be forgiven. We met in the lobby. Tessa kept her phone up, filming the whole walk. Carmen asked Tessa to stop. Tessa said it was for memories. Nina said it was harmless. I said nothing, because I liked being the center of a lens. Outside, the party bus waited with bright lights inside. Music started the moment we stepped in. People on the sidewalk stared at us. Nina waved at them like we were famous. I felt the old hungry part of me wake up again. On the bus, Brady showed up like it was normal. Nina said she had invited him because he knew the best places. Carmen asked why he was here. Nina said it was not a big deal. I told Carmen to relax and not ruin the mood. I made Carmen the problem, because it was easier than looking at myself. Brady sat beside me. He asked if I missed Evan. I said Evan did not even know how to miss someone properly. He asked what that meant. I said Evan treated love like a task. Brady said I deserved someone who was excited about me. I did not correct him. The bus stopped at a rooftop bar. There were string lights and loud music. Nina ordered shots. I said I would take it slow, then I took one anyway. I told myself it was one drink. Then it was two. A woman at the bar asked if I was the bride. I said yes. She asked if I was happy. I said yes. She asked where my fiancé was. I said he was at home being responsible. I said it with a laugh that made him sound small. Brady stayed close all night. When I went to the smoking patio for air, he came too. He asked if I ever felt trapped. I said yes, all the time. He asked if Evan ever listened. I said Evan only listened to his own fears. I said that like I knew it was true, even though I did not. My phone buzzed again. Evan called. I let it ring. Nina noticed and asked who it was. I said it was nothing. Carmen asked if I would answer. I said I did not want to fight on my trip. I said I needed peace. I made my silence sound healthy. Brady offered his jacket when the air felt cool. I put it on. He said I looked perfect in white. I said he was laying it on thick. He said he meant it. His hand touched my waist for a second, then stayed there. I did not push it away. I told myself I was allowed to feel wanted. Later, when we rode back to the hotel, Tessa kept filming. Nina sang into the camera and told everyone the bride was living her best life. Brady leaned in close to me as the bus hit a bump. His cheek brushed mine. I laughed like it was nothing. In the elevator, Carmen stood on one side and looked down at her shoes. Nina stood near the buttons and talked about after-parties. Brady stood beside me like he belonged there. When the doors opened on my floor, Brady stepped out with us. Carmen asked why he was coming. Brady said he was just walking us to the rooms. Nina said it was sweet. I said it was fine, because saying no would have sounded like I was guilty. At my door, I fumbled for my keycard. Brady stood too close behind me. I could feel his breath near my ear. He asked if I was scared. I said I was not scared, I was just tired. He said tired people tell the truth. I opened the door and the hallway light spilled into my room. Nina was laughing down the hall, already far away. Carmen paused and looked back at me like she wanted to say something. I gave her a tight smile and acted like everything was normal. Brady stayed in the doorway for a moment, and I did not ask him to leave. I woke up with the taste of dry air in my mouth and a heavy feeling in my chest. The room was quiet, except for the hum of the air unit. My phone was on the nightstand, face down. I flipped it over like I was checking the time, but I was really checking if the world had already changed. There were missed calls from Evan. There was one message from my mom asking if I was having fun. There were a few laughing videos Nina had already posted. I watched one without sound. I looked too happy. Brady looked too close. I told myself the camera always made things look worse. My stomach turned when I saw a new message from Evan. He asked if I could call him now. He asked again if anything happened. He said he needed the truth today. I stared at the words and felt my throat tighten. I did not want to answer. If I answered, I had to pick a story and stay inside it. I chose the safest story, the small one, the one with soft edges. I wrote back that nothing happened and we only danced. I wrote that Nina exaggerated everything. I wrote that my phone died and that was why I didn't call. I added that Mila was my priority and I loved them both. I used love like a bandage. A few minutes later, Evan wrote that my phone did not die because he could see activity. He wrote that the location was off for hours. He asked why it was off. My heart beat fast. I felt anger rise because he had proof. I told myself he was tracking me like a creep. I told myself that was the real problem. I replied that the app was glitchy and I didn't know. I wrote that he was acting paranoid. I wrote that I was on my Bachelorette trip and he was ruining it. Nina knocked and said checkout was soon. I went to the bathroom and ran water, like noise could wash my thoughts away. When I looked in the mirror, my eyes looked older. I told myself it was just travel. At breakfast, Carmen sat with her hands around a coffee cup. She asked if I was okay. I said I was fine. She asked if Brady had been in my room. I said he only walked me to the door. I said Nina pushed the whole thing. I said I was tired and nothing happened. Carmen's face did not relax. She asked why I looked like I was lying. I said she was being judgmental. I said she always acted better than me. I made it about her tone instead of my actions. Nina came in loud and proud, talking about how legendary the weekend was. Tessa showed me her phone and said a clip was getting a lot of views. I told her to delete it. She asked why she should. She said it was my moment. Nina said I should own it and not let Evan control my fun. I said I agreed, even though my hands shook under the table. On the ride to the airport, I kept my phone in my lap and watched it like it was a bomb. Evan didn't text again. The silence felt worse than anger. I wanted him to call me names. I wanted him to beg. I wanted him to be messy so I could feel clean. On the plane, I tried to sleep, but my mind kept playing small images. The hallway light, Brady too close, my own hand not pushing him away. I told myself it was one mistake. I told myself a mistake did not define me. I told myself Evan had pushed me there by making me feel unwanted. I said it in my head like a fact. When we landed, Nina hugged me and said I looked like a woman who finally lived. Carmen hugged me slower and told me to be careful. I said I would handle it. I acted confident because fear would make me look guilty. I got home late afternoon. The townhouse looked normal from the outside. Inside, it felt different, like the air had been rearranged. The first thing I noticed was the quiet. Mila did not run to me. No cartoons played in the living room. Evan stood near the couch with Mila's small backpack on the floor. He asked if I was ready to talk. I said yes, but I said it like I was doing him a favor. He asked where I had been after the rooftop bar. I said we went back to the hotel and slept. He asked why the location was off. I said my battery was low, and I turned things off to save it. Evan nodded like he was checking a box. He asked if Brady was with us. I said Brady was around because Nina invited him, and it was not my job to control people. He asked if Brady came to my floor. I said he walked us to the elevator and left. Evan did not raise his voice. He asked me to repeat that. I repeated it. My own voice sounded thin. Then Evan said Mila would stay with him tonight. He said Mila needed calm and a routine. He said he already packed her things. He said he would bring her to daycare in the morning like normal. My chest tightened. I heard the word routine, and I knew he was thinking long-term. I accused him of taking my child from me. I said he was punishing me. I said he was acting like a dictator. Evan told me he was acting like a parent. He said he was not keeping Mila from me. He said I could see her, but not while I was acting unstable. He said he wanted everything clear and peaceful. I felt my face burn. I told him he was calling me crazy. He said he did not use that word. He said he was asking me to be honest. I went to the office nook and saw his laptop open. A spreadsheet was on the screen. It had dates down one side and short notes. It was not a love letter. It looked like a record. Evan walked over and closed the laptop with one slow motion. He said it was personal. He said he was tired of confusion. He said he wanted facts, not fights. I laughed and said he was building a case like I was a criminal. He said he was protecting himself. He said he was protecting Mila too. That night, I tried to switch tactics. I told Evan we were a team. I told him the wedding stress made me act weird. I said Nina was a bad influence, and I would set boundaries. I said I could delete the videos and fix everything. Evan asked if I had anything to confess before he showed me what he had. I said there was nothing to confess. My mouth said it fast, like speed could make it true. Evan picked up his phone and scrolled without showing me the screen. He said he had screenshots. He said he had timestamps. He said he did not want to argue about what cameras saw. He said he only wanted the truth from me once. I felt panic, but I showed anger. I accused him of invading my privacy. I said he was obsessed. I said he never trusted me. I told him this was why I felt lonely. I made my cheating sound like a symptom of his flaws. Evan listened and then asked one simple question. If I believed my own story, I did not answer. I grabbed my keys and left because leaving was better than breaking. I drove to Carmen's apartment. She opened the door and looked at my face like she already knew. She asked what happened. I said Evan was overreacting. I said he was trying to control me with threats. I said he was acting cold and cruel. Carmen asked if I cheated. I said I didn't. Then I said it was complicated. Then I said it was not fair to put it on me when Evan had been distant. My words kept shifting because I needed them to. Carmen told me I couldn't keep changing the story. She said the internet didn't forget. She said Nina's posts were already spreading. She said Evan would not be tricked by tears. I felt betrayed by her calm voice. I told her she was taking his side. She said she was taking reality's side. I left her apartment and sat in my car with my hands on the steering wheel. I opened the wedding planning app to distract myself, to look at seating charts like they were shields. The login page appeared. My saved password did not work. I tried again. It failed again. I stared at the screen until my eyes hurt, and I realized Evan had already moved without asking me. The next morning, I woke up in my own bed, but it did not feel like my bed anymore. Evan had taken the guest room. The sheets on his side of our room looked untouched, like a museum display. Mila's stuffed bunny was not on the pillow. Even the hallway felt different, like the house knew a secret. I tried the wedding planning app again. The password still failed. I used the reset link, but it went to Evan's email, not mine. I stared at the screen and told myself he was being petty. Then I told myself it was smart. Then I told myself it was cruel. I kept changing my truth until it hurt. I went to the alteration studio anyway because I needed one normal thing. I needed to see myself as a bride, not as a problem. The studio smelled like pins and steam. The seamstress asked how planning was going. I said it was fine. She looked at her tablet and said she got a cancellation notice from one of our vendors. She said it came in last night. My chest tightened. I asked which vendor. She said the florist first, then the venue asked about timelines, and the DJ sent a short message too. I asked if it could be a mistake. She said the emails looked official, and she asked if the wedding was still happening. I smiled like a professional. I said it was still happening. I said there was a misunderstanding, and I would fix it today. I made my voice sweet, like sweetness could force reality to cooperate. When I left the studio, I called Evan. He did not answer. I texted him that he was embarrassing me and messing with our future. I wrote that we needed to talk like adults. He replied after a long time and said we could talk later, after Mila's daycare pickup. He added that he would not argue by text. That line made me mad because it sounded calm. Calm made him look reasonable. Reasonable made me look guilty. I went to work and tried to act normal at the dental clinic. I smiled at patients. I scheduled cleanings. I pretended my life was not cracking. But Nina's posts were still out there, and people love drama more than teeth. Before lunch, my manager asked me to step into the HR room. The chair in there always felt too low, like it forced you to look up. My manager said the clinic got tagged in a video. She said patients had seen it. She asked if I understood that public behavior could affect trust. I said it was a private trip, and it had nothing to do with work. She said my name and my job title were in the comments. I said my friends were being silly and I would ask them to stop. She asked if there was anything else coming out that could embarrass the clinic. I felt heat in my face. I said no. I said my fiancé was just mad and trying to punish me. I said he was spreading rumors. I made Evan the source of the problem even though I knew Nina's finger had been on the upload button. When I left the HR room, I messaged Nina and told her to delete everything. Nina replied that I was panicking for nothing. She said Evan was playing mind games. She told me to post something strong and proud. She said I should not look weak. I liked her words because they made me feel less responsible. So I listened. After work, I went to the supermarket because I wanted to walk into the house carrying something, like nothing had changed. Evan was there too, already in the aisle with Mila in the cart seat. Mila waved at me and said my name in a small voice. I kissed her hair and told her I missed her. Evan nodded once, like a coworker. I watched Evan shop like he always did, careful and quiet. He did not grab my usual snacks. He did not ask what I wanted for dinner. He scanned labels and compared prices like he was preparing for life without me. At the checkout, he separated items into 2 piles without a discussion. He paid for his pile. Then he handed me the divider bar for mine. I asked what he was doing. He said he was keeping things clear. He said it was better that way. I told him he was acting dramatic. I said couples shared things. He said shared things only worked with shared honesty. I said I was honest enough. He did not react to that. He only asked if I wanted to pick up Mila tomorrow morning, or if he should. I said I would pick her up and drop her off like usual. Evan said daycare had a new pickup note now. He said it was temporary, and it was to avoid confusion. He said Mila needed calm. The word temporary hit me like cold water. It sounded like steps. It sounded like plans. I looked at his keys when he reached for his wallet. There was still that new small silver key on the ring. I asked what it was for again. He said it was for a box where he kept important things safe. He said I did not need to worry about it. I told him that was exactly why I needed to worry. He said worrying did not change facts. In the parking lot, I tried a softer approach. I told him I wanted to reset. I said the trip got out of hand and I was sorry for stress. I said Nina pushed the vibe and I got carried away. I said I could cut Nina off if he wanted. I said we could do counseling. I said the wedding was still possible. Evan put Mila into her car seat first, slow and gentle. Then he closed the door and looked at me. He asked if I was sorry for hurting him or sorry for getting caught. I said that question was unfair. I said he was attacking me when I was trying to heal us. He asked me again, in the same calm voice, if Brady was ever alone with me. I said no. I said Brady was just around. I said the internet made things look worse. I said Evan was choosing to believe strangers. Evan looked down at his phone for 1 second. I heard a soft beep sound, like an app starting. He slid the phone back into his pocket. He said he wanted our talks to stay calm, and records helped keep people honest. That made me furious. I told him he was treating me like an enemy. I told him he was making our home feel like a courtroom. He said he was not making it anything. He said it already was what it was. When we got home, Mila ran inside and went straight to her toys. Evan went to the kitchen and opened a drawer that I had not noticed before. I heard a small click, like a lock. He took something out, but he held it close to his body, and I could not see what it was. He put it into his backpack with a neat motion. I stepped closer and asked what he was hiding. He said he was not hiding anything. He said he was organizing. He said he was tired of chaos. I tried one last time to control the story. I said my parents were worried. I said my mom thought he was being cold. I said if he cancelled the wedding, people would blame him. I said he should think about his image. Evan paused, like that word meant nothing to him now. He asked if image was all I cared about. I said of course not, and then I listed all the ways I had tried. I said I worked hard. I said I planned everything. I said I gave him a family. I said I deserved grace. Evan said grace was not the same as pretending. He said I could keep telling stories, but he would not live inside them anymore. He picked up Mila's backpack, like it was already part of a routine. I followed him to the doorway and told him he could not just walk out. I said we needed a real talk, not this silence. Evan looked at me with tired eyes and said he would handle it properly. Then he walked out with Mila and shut the door without slamming it. I went to brunch with my parents because I needed a stage. I needed witnesses. I needed my mom to look at Evan and tell him he was wrong. I picked the family restaurant with the long tables because it always felt public and safe. I arrived first and sat where everyone could see me. I practiced my face in the reflection of my phone screen. I made it sad, not guilty. My mom came in fast. She asked what Evan was doing and why he was acting like this. I said he was trying to punish me. I said he was cold and he was enjoying control. My dad sat down slower. He asked what really happened on the trip. I said the trip was blown out of proportion. I said Nina posted things for jokes. I said Evan hated being laughed at, so now he wanted revenge. When Evan walked in, he did not look angry. That made me mad. He greeted my parents politely. He asked if we could keep it calm because Mila was with his mom today. I said he was using Mila as a shield. He said he was using Mila as a reason to stay lawful. My mom asked why he cancelled the wedding. Evan said he did not cancel it to hurt me. He said he cancelled it because he could not marry someone who lied. I told my mom that he was twisting things. I said he had been distant for months. I said he made me feel alone. My mom said I deserved joy. I nodded like that proved I was right. My dad asked Evan what proof he had. Evan said he did not want to argue about proof at a restaurant. He said he already shared the situation with both families because hiding it was not healthy. My mom said he had no right to tell them. Evan said he did not share it to shame me. He said he shared it because the wedding was a public promise and it was now cancelled. I tried to pull the focus back to feelings. I said it was one mistake. I said everyone makes mistakes. I said Evan was acting perfect, like he never did anything wrong. Evan said mistakes can be forgiven, but lies change trust. He said he asked me many times for the truth. He said I chose a story instead. My mom asked if he was going to take Mila away. Evan said he was not taking Mila away from me. He said he was making sure Mila had a stable schedule. He said he wanted clear rules, not fights. I laughed and said he was talking like a robot. Evan said calm rules protect children better than loud promises. Then my phone buzzed, and I saw a new message from Nina. Nina wrote that she heard Evan had a lawyer, and I should not let him scare me. I showed the message to my mom, like it proved Evan was plotting. My mom's eyes got sharper, and she said Evan was trying to destroy me. Evan said he was not trying to destroy me. He said he was trying to end the chaos properly. After brunch, we walked outside. I kept talking because silence felt dangerous. I said Evan was doing this for power. I said he wanted to make me look bad. Evan said I made choices in public, and the public saw them. He said he did not post anything. He said he only saved what already existed. We reached a big lobby near the courthouse area because my dad said we should talk somewhere quieter. I thought that meant Evan would soften. I thought my mum would corner him. I thought he would finally react and I could call him cruel. A man in plain clothes approached and asked if I was Ligeia Hart. I said yes. He said he had documents for me. I asked what documents. He said he was authorized to serve them and he needed to confirm my name again. My mom stepped closer and asked what this was. Evan stayed still and did not speak. The man handed me an envelope. My hands shook as I opened it. The top page said it was about a parenting plan and temporary orders. I read words like temporary schedule and exchange location. I read effective immediately. I read a date and time for the first pickup window. It was today. It was not a threat. It was a start. I looked at Evan and asked if he did this. Evan said he did it properly. He said it was not a punishment. He said it was a boundary. My mom asked if he was serious. Evan said yes. He said he would follow the temporary schedule, and he expected me to follow it too. My dad asked why it had to be public. Evan said he did not choose the place. He said he only chose lawful steps. I tried to speak, but my mouth felt dry. I said this was unfair. Evan said unfair was not a legal word. He said the papers explained the next steps and the dates. My mom stared at the pages and then stared at me like she was seeing me for the first time. I looked down again and saw the line that said, "The temporary schedule started today."